Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another special episode of Talk is Turkestan, my dear brothers and sisters. Today, as you all know, tomorrow is the Republic Day or Independence Day for our two republics, the Republic of East Turkestan. And I have with me today Mr. Abduweli Ayup to give us a little bit about the history and how especially the Uyghurs in the diaspora should be celebrating or commemorating this important day. We know that today, especially in Australia, we have Remembrance Day. In the United States, they have Veterans Day, and we celebrate or commemorate these days. So without further ado, last year we had Mr. Abduweli Ayup on. You can check out that episode on our channel where we speak to him specifically about what's been happening in the camps, and you can see his story there as well. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Abduweli Ayup to our show. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Abduweli Ayup. How are you today?
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for having me. I'm fine. And thank you everyone let's celebrate our Independence Day. It will be tomorrow for us, and it will be a new beginning. I hope if we have real independence, and if I believe the day of Uyghurs independence will be the day of the world, a new era and a new beginning and a new starting point.
Yes, well, we all hope that, inshallah. Before we get into the crux of Independence Day, could you just summarize, just a little bit of the history of the two republics, how they were founded? Yes, the one in 1933 and 1944.
The first republic, it's 1933. At that time, already Uyghurs started struggling. The uprising started 1931 in Kumul. It's very east part of East Turkestan, very close to China. And in Kumul, Uyghur leader Hojiniyaz Haji, he started uprising in 1931 and fight with the local warlord and defeated them. And in 1933, when East Turkestan Republic claimed November 12th, at that time Hojiniyaz Haji, the leader, the first president, he was in Aksu, far from Kashgar, about 500 kilometers. And at the time, other places like Khotan already liberated by Mentimin Bugra and Kucha, and at the time, entire Kumul is under the Uyghurs' rule, Yolbasbeg, and our Khotan under the rule of Mentimin Bugra, Khotan Amir, and Kashgar ruled by Uyghur leader Timur Sijam, Timur. On Aksu already under the control of Hojiniyaz Haji. So we can say that at that time, only Ürümchi and counties around Ürümchi are under Shenshise, like Chinese warlords' control, but other territory already liberated by local uprising leaders. So it's not suddenly appeared in Kashgar. At the time, all other cities already, most of the cities already liberated, and people get ready to have this kind of independent government and this kind of like core leadership. So like Sabit Damla, Sabit Abdul Baqi, he is a religious cleric and a great thinker in Uyghur history, and he visited Turkey and the Middle East and other countries, and he cooperated with the other Uyghur leaders, elites group in 1930s in Kashgar, and he established the East Turkestan government in 1933 in November. And first of all, they had the organization, they had the office, for example, that they had Istiqlal Cemiyeti, independence organization first, and organized different group, different forces, and different people from different perspective. And then in November 12th, in very close to Tumen River, that place they claimed the independence of East Turkestan. It's 1933. And 1944, it's in Ghulja. At the time, it's a little bit different. In Ghulja, in 1944, all East Turkestan under Shenshesei's rule, and there is no independent small governments or uprising forces exist. Just Shenshesei, one warlord, control overall East Turkestan. And the north part of East Turkestan, Ili, first of all in 1933, local Uyghur leaders started uprising, like Ghani Batur, Fatih Batur, Sid Batur, and Nurum. 6 Uyghur uprising leaders started uprising in Ulastay, very Nilqa, that belonged to Ili prefecture. And in 1944, in November, they started uprising in Ghulja city. And after it's Ghulja that uprising in 1944, it's November the beginning. And then 1944, November 12th, they claimed independent country, East Turkestan. That just like the first republic, Uyghur leaders cooperated with the other Turkic leaders, for example, that like Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and Tatar and Uzbek. For example, that the first republic, 1933, the president is Hojinez Haji. The prime minister is Sabit Tamullah. Both of them are Uyghur. And at that time, the defense ministry is Kyrgyz. And in this in 44, the Second Republic also, the defense ministry is Kyrgyz, and the vice defense ministry is Kazakh. And we have 15 government members, and they include the Uyghur, Tatar, Kyrgyz, and Kazakh, and Uzbek. The Second Republic, the president is Uzbek, and we have other ethnic groups. So both of the government are very inclusive, and soldiers mainly are Uyghurs and other ethnic Turkic ethnic groups. And so from the army and the government, all are very inclusive and very compromising with different forces, different opinions. So we can say that both two independent East Turkestan governments at the time, first of all, they are really modern, like with the constitution and with open diplomacy and the modern democratic system, and very inclusive. At the time, like in 1933, East Turkestan Republic sent delegation to India, to Central Asia, to Britain. At the time, the president, Hojinaz Haji, he sent a letter to King Elizabeth, to England, to Great Britannia. So from the different perspective, we can say that our ancestors built a very modern and open and democratic country, democratic the government, and very inclusive and organized, cooperated with different forces, with different idea. So I admire, and they are. That's the reason they have successfully built the government, and like in Second Republic, lived almost 5 years, like since more than 5 years, since 1944 till 1949.
Well, we have a question here, but this sort of predates the two republics. But would you be able to answer this question? I'm sure you can see on the screen. It says, what sort of relationship did the Uyghurs have with the Ottoman Empire?
The First Republic, when we had the First Republic at the Turkish government, like the modern Turkey.
Yeah. So after 1923, obviously.
Yeah. After 1933. The Turkish at the time, the Turkish government sent sent the delegation with five intellectuals, I think. The intellectuals, and they helped to modernize the local armed forces. And the Second Republic, they haven't had any official relation with modern Turkey, but the second president of East Turkestan Republic, Ahmet Can Qasimi, he met Turkish embassy in Nanjing, but he hasn't had any positive response from the Turkish embassy in Beijing at the time.
And the second question here, why did the First Republic collapse so fast?
It is mainly because of they are not really united. From about some armed forces, they are warlords from Central Asia, like they are Kyrgyz and Uzbek, mostly the Kyrgyz warlords, and they came, the leaders and the soldiers came to East Turkestan, and they cooperated when at the beginning, but after all separated. And another thing that there is another Kyrgyz leader, he also separated from the national army, and another that Uyghurs at the time, there is no strong backbone. At the time, there is no when Second Republic, at the time we have in Kazakhstan, there is some amount of Uyghurs, and they received help through those Uyghurs in Central Asia. But in First Republic, there is no that kind of help from outside. Like they only rely on themselves, and they didn't had a good relationship with the superpowers.
Okay. So going back to the commemoration or celebration of this day, how was Republic Day celebrated in East Turkestan at the time?
At the time, in after the First Republic, the Shangshi State, the Chinese warlord, he united the East Turkestan, and he didn't allow any kind of celebration. But after the Second Republic in 1944, every year, November 12th, celebrated with the first of all the students. Students, they parade at the street, like go demonstration at the street, and armed parade, and also the people gift each other, like exchange gifts, and they have family gathering, and like with the theater and other types of cultural entertainment.
Okay. So today, basically, how is Republic Day currently being celebrated by Uyghurs in the diaspora? And how should Republic Day be commemorated or celebrated so that it is meaningful, in your opinion?
Now, every year, November 12th, we celebrate in diaspora. It's worldwide. Everywhere where Uyghur exists, we celebrate November 12th. But the celebration mostly focused on political focus on politics. Just like, for example, that like gathered to chant the slogan of recovering the independent country, and to show the willingness of build Third Republic, and also like demonstration against the Chinese rule in East Turkestan. They're mostly focused on politics. But in my opinion, it's not really, if we celebrate that way, we cannot unite, we cannot attract a lot of, like, we cannot give a chance to those people who are not really open to politics. Like some of the Uyghurs politically are really active and really open, and some of the Uyghurs are not. As a Uyghur, we should celebrate something together, not just with the political way. We should celebrate it with the cultural, with the social, different way. We can put them together. Like we can have demonstration in front of Chinese embassy, and we can go to demonstration to different places to show our willingness. But also, we should celebrate it at home as other days. For example, that Kurban, or like Ramadan, or other Nowruz, or other days. So we should give this national day the meanings, for the different meanings, just not only like it's a political willingness. It's also the day of Uyghur, enjoy that day, and celebrate the victory in the history, and remember those shaheed, those ancestors in the history, and people enjoy togetherness, and enjoy the cultural entertainment, and enjoy brotherhood. So I think first of all, we in different rituals, different festivals, and this kind of, we have something to eat. For example, that in Kurban Eid, we eat sanza, we eat kuymak, and we prepare earlier days. For our national day, November 12th, we should also prepare something to eat, not normally eaten, that just for that day. I think that we have a special food, it's just like a small boat, very small, tiny, and we can prepare it every Kurban Eid. We can prepare that just specialized for National Day. It means that we all Uyghurs, we can have different opinion and different way we can practice our religion, or we can practice different religion. But we should have, we are the people on the same boat. That tiny boat we prepare, it means that we are the people are in the same boat. We save ourselves with our boats. So we should protect this boat. We should have this boat first. Second, we should protect this boat, and we should move it on to forward. So it symbolized our unity. The qircha, I don't know how to translate into English. It's a special food for Kurban, and yeah, like I can, yeah, it's I don't know how to explain. It's just the food we fried in oil. Yeah, and second, we should exchange gifts. For example, the couples and parents and children, and just like Thanksgiving in the United States, we exchange gifts. The friends send gifts each other. And third, we eat the special food. We have a food, we call it paneshi. It's really easy to make, actually. It's easy to make. Like, I can make it myself. It's with you can buy it like at the market, the very small, tiny, not spaghetti. It's very tiny, small, grain-like spaghetti. I don't know how to translate it into English. That one, and we can we call it hanishi. It means that the food for the land. The officially it's a kingdom. The food for the country, the state. Hanishi. We should make it at that day. And third, the gifts part. I prefer to give, especially for children, because children are our next generation, or our future. So, like November 1st, we every November we should tell them that you have 12 gifts. You have to write from the beginning of the November.
Yeah, well, that was going to lead me to my next question, which was, so for example, I grew up in Australia, and we had Australia Day, which is on January 25, and there would be flags, and we knew about it. We would have a flag raising ceremony in school, and you felt, being young, you felt very sort of proud and all this. And it's a similar thing in Turkey. Talking about the next generation, how do we grow that sense of love and recognition and connection to the homeland? Because especially for our young children, God forbid, for quite a long time, it looks like we're not going to be able to take our children to the homeland, show them where it is. How do we make that connection? You sort of suggested giving gifts, and how do we achieve this so that they don't forget that they are Uyghur, or they have a connection with the homeland, and you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I think let them feel that the November is different month. Let them feel November is the special month for Uyghurs, and it's special because we had our short term of freedom and short term of liberation. So let them feel that they are they are the generation, they are the kids, children, gifted, and they are lucky because in November they have gifts. At the end, the biggest gift is independence. Yeah, like we can give them gift temporarily in diaspora with different things, but at the end, we are fighting for to give them the biggest gift as independent country, the free, democratic, and rule of law, and everyone is free. So like in diaspora, and we can encourage them to write it down, the wish for every day from the beginning of the November 1st, and they can write 11 days of 11 gifts, and 12 gifts, and like 12 in the morning, and they will have to choose one from those 12 wishes, and then we can give one at that day, like our Independence Day, and our 11 gifts they can have every month from the beginning of next year, from the January. You can have every month one gift when you written in that like November. It means that the kids can remember, if I wrote something in November, I will have that gift the next year every month. It means that he can remember our independence, our like a wish, our willingness, our like to the freedom. They can remember every day. So it's my idea to tell the people if we can do it's doable. And another thing that like the gifts, it's better to something to relate it to our homeland. For example, that like clothes, the Uyghur clothes, or like if we present them books related to Uyghur, and if we presented like other objects or toys, if it's related to Uyghur history, Uyghur culture, and it is better. I think it's important to let, first of all, we feel that we should have this freedom, we deserve this freedom, and let our next generation, our kids, feel that they are important and they are gifted. And what we are doing, what we are trying is just give them the biggest gift at the end, the liberty.
Well, thank you so much for your insights. Would you like to add anything else, something that I didn't quite ask, or any other suggestions that you have for how we commemorate this day, and then we can slowly close off. Brothers and sisters, if you have any questions, please post them now so that I can get them in. And make sure if we could make the questions about today, which is about East Turkestan Republic Day. Thank you. Yes, Abduweli, is there anything else that you would like to mention that I didn't quite ask that you wanted to add?
If our listeners have any question, it's better, because when I talk, like,
Sure.
I talk the history, always compare with the First Republic and Second Republic, and I maybe they mixed up the first and
Yeah,
second,
that's
and
fine.
maybe our listeners, our audience, could not very sure what
Yeah,
exactly I'm talking about.
yeah,
If we have any question, it's better.
sure.
But yeah, I don't think I should add something, but I prefer to listen to our
Sure.
audience.
Well, we have a question here saying, what is the solution for East Turkestan? And I'm assuming what they're trying to say is, how do we become independent? Which is a very heavy loaded question. But what do you envision? Just very quickly.
Um, this world should change. This depending on the United Nations, and we have rights to decide our future as a people. Like we have self-determination rights. So as a Uyghur, we have rights to determine our future as an independent country, and how it depends on the international circumstances. It depends on the different forces in the world. It depends on how we prepare and how we get this preparation. And but depending on the reality, depending on the real conditions, it's already the people there are separated, and the Chinese government grow hatred there. It's a genocide, and people will not and cannot live as a people like Chinese, Han Chinese, and the Uyghur. This kind of genocide create huge friction, and create the hatred. And even we can, like in as a Uyghur in diaspora, when we see this reality, we cannot feel we can live with the oppressor in peaceful way. It's like the emotionally or psychologically, it's impossible anymore. So for the people who are directly oppressed, who are like millions of people in concentration camp, and how can they live with oppressors in that piece of land in the world? So reality will not allow any kind of compromising, any kind of togetherness, coexistence. It is the way for Uyghurs to live as peaceful as their wish. But the problem is how this part is really hard. It's really complicated question. But Uyghurs, like we in the history, we had two democratic republics, and the third one, I think the depending on our experience, our history, we can have the third one, and it will give the world the new image of Asia, new image of Central Asia. Maybe it will be the bright future for the world.
On that, right after this podcast, dear followers, at 6 p.m. GMT time, I'm having an interview with a UN human rights lawyer, or former lawyer, essentially, because she's just been fired, and she'll talk about basically how the UN is selling names of dissidents back to China. So tune in for that. We have a question here. Is it true that before 1940s, there was only 2-3% Chinese, or about 100,000 in East Turkestan? Why Uyghurs lost their home to such, a small population of Han Chinese?
Yes, like in 1940s, it's 2 or 3, like a 3 percentage of the population are Han Chinese. But the problem is they are all soldiers. They are all soldiers. They are all united. They are all their generals are there, armed, like all of them are armed. It's not possible they are ordinary people like Uyghurs, but Uyghurs are just the ordinary people, and they don't have arm, and they don't have like generals, and they don't have helicopters or tank or other like armed anything. So we cannot compare like that, like armed forces and the people. There is no such thing that 3% of people versus 97% of people. No, 3%, yes, but all of them are armed guys, armed like army.
I guess you could compare, for example, maybe 4,000, 5,000 or 10,000 American soldiers in Afghanistan. There are millions and millions of Afghanis, but only 10,000 American, and they could control the whole Afghanistan. So you probably think about it that way, right?
Yeah. Like now, Chinese army, it's different statistics, about 2 million or 3 million. Yes, we can compare that it's even 2 million, but Chinese people, 1.5 billion Chinese people listen to 2 million Chinese army. Yeah, that's the same thing.
Okay. It looks like we don't have any questions anymore. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'm gonna close it off, but once I turn it off, we'll have our own. We'll say goodbye separately. Okay. So thank you so much, brother Abduweli Ayup. And until next time, brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ümit üzme aziz halqim, ümit üzme ey ana yurt. Biz atandık bu küreşke, o yıl taştak uyuşur. Allah verse bu nusretni, bizgilerimiz